College football is back, and we're back live on the Big Mountain.
Great to have you back on the mountain here for another live episode. We are excited to have some most important players on every team for the Big Ten and the Mountain West, and we're doing non-quarterbacks. So we can't take the easy out.
No
we
quarterbacks.
Can't do quarterbacks. So I'm excited for that. I want to talk a little bit about the House versus NCAA settlement. We had some news coming out today. Wednesday's a great day to do this because I feel like a lot of information drops on a Wednesday. And maybe it's just the day I'm really looking at things because I know we're going live. And then we have a really brief pack update. It's not so much an update. Just want to go over some of the things that Commissioner Gould talked about at the media rights day or whatever the heck they had for the pack. So that's all that's going to be is the media day stuff, not media rights, but media day stuff. Media. So if you've seen any of her comments, that's what it's going to be all about. We'll save it to the end. I saw somebody ask if we can move it up first. We'll leave it at the end. It's short. And again, if you've seen any of her comments, that's all I want to talk about. We don't really have any new news regarding the pack here. But as our Beavers and Cougars fans know, we like to keep on the Beavers and the Cougars. And man, we got something special going on tonight.
The shirts.
The shirts.
Thank you, JEH, sending us these shirts. They're awesome. Built, not bought.
That's right.
That's what I say.
I'm built too. It took me a long time to look like this, Steve.
A lot of beers and tacos.
I'm still working on it. Hold on. Still being built. Okay. But yes, JEH, thank you so much. Our first gift from a mountain dweller. We really appreciate that. And it is my first Beaver shirt. So not only do you have to say that you're a Beaver believer, but
Absolutely.
bam, you can show everybody that you're a Beaver believer.
Built, not bought.
There you have it. So with that, the first thing we want to talk about, we're going to start with the Big Ten because I started with Mountain West last week. We're going to get right into it. Before we do, hello to all of our dwellers. We see a lot of our normal guys on here and gals. We got Steven, Squeeze Money, Genetics, JEH. Who else we got? Let me scroll to the top. Oh, gosh. We got Jerry, and I don't know, my computer's being stupid. So I know we got a lot of people on. Type in, say hi. We like to know who's on right now. We're going to start with the Big Ten. So you ready to rock?
Yeah, let's roll right into it.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about the most important players for each team. And it can't be a quarterback because obviously that would be just too easy. So I went down the list, just kind of, I've been working on my season previews for each team and just kind of thinking about, okay, what unit, again, other than the quarterback, what unit is really important? What is the best player? What's the impact player for what that team is trying to do this year? Mm-hmm. So can we bring that chart up on the screen?
We can do that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think we're starting at the bottom with Michigan State. Okay.
Hello, Matt, and hello, David. Good to have you here. So,
Yeah.
yes, we will pull it up on the screen, Steve, and you can have at the 18 Big Ten teams.
Okay. So, first of all, JEH, just close your ears, okay? I'm starting with Michigan State. Obviously they're in a rebuild mode with a new coach and everything. I really think this year they're key. What they're going to be trying to do is run the ball, protect the quarterback, play good defense, okay? Mm-hmm. So they bring over Tanner Miller, the transfer from Oregon State, one of the best O-linemen in the country, building block, and he is the center, I'm pretty sure. Probably one of the top 2 or 3 centers in the entire country, and so he's really key what they're trying to do this year. So for Michigan State, I got Tanner Miller. Northwestern, this one was difficult. They really overachieved last year. They had a lot of offensive success that was unpredictable last year.
Right.
I think it's going to be hard for them to have that offensive explosion. I don't want to call it luck last year, but it's just hard to duplicate that again this year. So I really think they're going to be focused on maybe not having quite the offense they had, but really strengthening their defense. And for me, Xander Mueller, their linebacker, I think he's going to be a tackling machine this year.
Okay.
They have some other weaknesses on their defense, and I think it's really going to be up to him to be that guy to basically turn, make sure plays stay at 4 to 5 yards instead of busting for 15, 20 yards, big plays.
Okay.
So moving up the line, Wisconsin. Okay, Wisconsin last year, their defense wasn't that great, but really what hurt them was their offense. We can't pick a quarterback like we already said. So I was looking at, what do they really need to do to be successful? Well, they honestly were not great at the run last year. We thought they would be better at the running game. They had a great running back, but he just didn't have much success in that new system that was brought there. So they brought in another transfer from, I think it was from Oklahoma, Tawi. I think his name is Tawi. Walker, a transfer running back, really, really talented. I really think they're going to go back to wanting to establish that run. We talked about before, they do play kind of a run first version of the air raid. That sounds a little bit weird, but it's really using the run to set up the pass. And so I think he's going to be key this year. UCLA is another one like Northwestern. I think they're going to struggle a bit this year. We'll see what their quarterback can do, but he's ineligible for this. So I really looked at their defense. And similar story to Northwestern, I have Kane Medrano as UCLA's most important person. Again, they're moving into the Big Ten, some really established running teams. They're going to be traveling to Penn State. I think they might be traveling to Michigan too. They have a tough schedule this year and moving into Big Ten play. Yeah. So I have Kane Medrano, their stud linebacker, as their most important player to really limit the damage. Okay, moving to Purdue. Okay.
Can I make a mention?
Yes.
Or a comment?
Yeah.
Please. I am very impressed that you have in your first 4 teams here, you have 2 defensive players and a center.
Yeah.
Only one of your 4 is, kind of what you would expect to have. A running back or a wide receiver. That's kind of what everybody, there's playmakers, So I'm impressed with you. Well, I'm anxious to see if this continues.
It will sort of continue, but here's the deal. The teams at the bottom, there's a trend there where I don't think their offense is going to be very good.
Okay.
So I think in order for them to be successful, they're going to have to play good defense. And in the case of Michigan State, the center.
I get it. Like
run
one
the ball.
Of the best.
Yes,
I got that.
Okay. So moving right along, Purdue. Okay, I've been down on Purdue. I was definitely down on them last year, which proved right. I think we made a lot. If people were following our betting picks last year on Purdue, I bet against them almost every week, and I made some money. You made some money. I hope our viewers made some money on that. I think they may be due for a little bit of offensive turnaround this year. It's the second year there with Hudson Card. They were missing one of their key players last year, Jamal. I think his last name is pronounced Edrin. It looks like Edrine, but I think it's Edrin. Mm-hmm. He was out last year. He was hurt and missed the whole year last year. I think in this new offense with Hudson Card, I think they're going to go to him early and often. He's going to be their key on offense.
Okay.
So I have so our first wide receiver, Jamal Edrin. For Purdue, and I expect their offense to be improved this year. I really do.
Okay.
Okay, moving forward with here's Minnesota. I think I could see them really, really struggling this year. Their offense isn't very good. Their defense isn't very good. I really struggled looking at this team to find really anything that any bright spots. Unfortunately, I don't know if we have any mini fans on here. If you let me know what are the bright spots. But the one person looking over the roster and looking who they returned from last year. Justin Wally, I think it's pronounced Wally. He's a corner. He moves all around the field. He can cover the number 1 guy. He can move over into the slot and during when they go into the nickel. He's just an all-purpose guy. I think they're gonna try and load up the box to stop the run, which is tough in the Big Ten. Yeah. And if that's the case, it's going to put a lot of pressure on their secondary, which is not very good, except for Justin Wally. He's going to have to be that guy to go and cover that number 1 receiver, be that war daddy in the secondary.
Okay.
So moving forward, Maryland. Okay, Roman Hemby. So here's the thing: they lost to Leah, record-setting quarterback last year. He's gone. 2 years ago, Hemby had a really good year. I think he broke 1,000 yards, really productive. Last year he was kind of an afterthought. They were just, it was hero ball from Talia,
Sure, right.
Have him run back, run around, see if he can make a play, hit somebody deep. And their running game was kind of an afterthought. I really think this year, they don't have anybody on their roster, especially on the offense, that's as dynamic as Talia was. They're going to go back to kind of bread and butter, and I think they're really, really going to try and pound the running game with Roman Hemby. And if he can be successful like he was 2 years ago, they could be a solid offense. We'll see. I think that's an open question.
Yeah.
But I think he's their key this year. Illinois, for me, there's two things. It's all about protecting the quarterback. Okay. Last year, what's their quarterback's last name? Altimore. Last year in the Penn State, he played pretty well. And now in the Penn State game, he was sacked multiple times through interceptions. He was under duress. They're going to try and run the ball, but I think in order to do better than last year, they're also going to need to throw the ball. And I think their quarterback has the talent for that. And to me, their key is in pass protection, both pass protection and running the game. Left tackle J.C. Davis, really good tackle. He will be, I think, a left tackle in the NFL probably next year. And so to me, he's the key to both of those things because, their coach, he loves to run the ball. But again, in order to improve, they're going to have to protect the quarterback. And I think that the left tackle is obviously key to that.
So, Steve, remind our viewers, I know we have some new people hopping on. They didn't hear what we're doing here, and they can't see our topic list.
Gotcha.
Remind people what this list is. Right?
So this list is the most important player for each team that's not the quarterback. That would be too easy. Almost every one of these teams, the most important player will be the quarterback. So what I did is I went back and I looked at every I was starting my season preview, and I looked at every Big Ten team, trying to look at their roster. What do they have left? What did they bring in the transfer portal? And what are they trying to accomplish this year? Like, what's the most important thing to their success, whether it's establishing the run, playing good defense, protecting the quarterback? So some of these, like we have a center, that might not seem intuitive. Normally a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, whatever. But in the case of what I think Michigan State is going to try and do, a center made sense for them.
Another quick question.
Yeah.
Is the list of your order, is there any rhyme or reason?
No, there isn't.
No rhyme or reason to the list.
No rhyme or reason.
Right, to the order of the list.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just random order.
Random order. Gotcha.
All right. Okay, so we just talked about Illinois. So Iowa. Here's the thing with Iowa this year. I think they have a new offensive coordinator. They were one of the worst offenses in the country the last couple of years. There's only room to improve. Cade McNamara is coming back, very experienced. I think the offense will be, even just slightly improved will make a huge difference. The big question is they had a fantastic defense that basically got them to 10 wins last year, defense and special teams. They lost Cooper DeJean, who was like their big playmaker in the secondary. But this year, I really think the key to their defense is going to be Jay Higgins, the middle linebacker. That dude is a tackling machine. He will be an NFL player. He is basically the quarterback of the defense. I expect their defense to be really good again this year.
Yeah.
They may not get, some of the interceptions, turnovers, or whatever they got last year, but I think they'll be really solid. And the key to that defense for me, for sure, is Jay Higgins. Okay. Okay, so moving forward, Nebraska. I have Nebraska in very similar circumstances to Illinois, but maybe just elevated a little bit, okay? So Nebraska, they bring in a rookie quarterback, a freshman quarterback, 5-star Dylan Raiola. He has all the potential in the world, but he's going to struggle. So what do you I think they'll be able to run the ball similar to last year, but can they improve their passing game? Get more production and have less turnovers? Well, again, the key to that, to me, is always the left tackle, and they have a good one. Bryce Benhart, again, I think future NFL tackle, really good player, and he's going to be that key. He's going to be, I don't know. I think I was reading that he has flipped around and played both left tackle and right tackle before, so I don't know which side he's going to line up on, but I really think he's going to be the key to protecting Raiola and having a good season. Okay, so moving forward, Rutgers. I'm higher on Rutgers this year.
I was propping you up on X a little bit this week, telling people take that over.
Yeah, it's just a big Mountain Ice cold lock. The over, what was it, 6.5?
6.5.
Yeah, easy. I think they'll be easy a 7-8 win team with their schedule, mostly just because of their schedule this year. They were given a total gift in a schedule. Honestly, it would not shock me to see them get to 9 wins.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
That was the original post.
Yeah,
was about they're not playing the Big Ten teams that they don't have on their schedule.
Right.
And that's when I quoted it and said, yeah, that's why Steve took the ice cold lock. So,
yeah.
Hey, and just as a reminder, we are on X. Mm-hmm. We're kind of crazy, but it's down there at the bottom at TBMJY or _JY at TBM _ Steve. If you're on X, you care to hear what we bloviate on there, You can get us every day of the freaking year.
Yes.
Because we're on there texting.
For
or
sure.
Xting, or whatever the hell it is. So anyway,
Tweeting,
I keep interrupting
Twittering,
you.
Xing. Yeah.
You're in your top 10. You're talking Rutgers. Are you done with Rutgers?
No, Rutgers, this is an important point.
Okay.
I think they've improved their passing game. They brought in the Greek rifle. I know some people, they call him the Greek BB gun or whatever.
Right.
I think he will be better, especially with Kirk Shiraka. But I think what's really important to them is going back to that run game like last year, and they bring back the Big Ten's leading rusher, Kyle Monangi, I think is the pronunciation of his name. Monangai. I heard a couple different things on broadcast last year. If he can get similar levels of production, in the run game, and if they can improve their passing game just slightly, that could really do wonders. So to me, everything is going to be centered around that run game. And again, defenses are going to have to, defenses are going to focus on that and key on that.
Sure.
And Kaliakmanis didn't really have that in Minnesota. He had defenses keying on him for the most part.
Yeah.
So if you can keep that production in the run game, defenses will have to key on that, and that's just going to make the passing game better, I think, this year. Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving up, Michigan, Will Johnson. I mean, he maybe is the best overall defensive player in the country. He was, just a key part of that team last year. Key part of that defense. I believe he was eligible to go to the NFL. I'm not sure. But either way, he would have been drafted. It would have been a high draft pick, but sure. he came back this year. Just a fantastic player. And he will be, not only will he be the best player on that defense, he will be the leader of that defense. And really, that's what Michigan is hanging their hat on. They lose their quarterback. They lose one of their running backs. They lose their head coach, who was more of an offensive-minded guy. But all Michigan fans will tell you the defense is still there. And for the defense to be successful, I think this year for Michigan to contend for a Big Ten championship and contend for a playoff spot, their defense is going to have to not just be great that they were last year, they're going to have to cause more turnovers, maybe score some points. And to me, Will Johnson is the key to that. Just fantastic player. So moving up to Indiana, D'Angelo Pons. I believe he was a transfer in from where did their coach come from?
Who are you talking about?
Indiana.
Oh, JMU.
Yeah, JMU.
Yes, he is. He came with coach.
Yeah, everything I've read about him, just a fantastic player that 100%. He's already taken a leadership role. So I just wanted to put him on there. They're rebuilding. They really are. We can't go with the quarterback. And really, in reality, this would be Rourke would 99 out of 100. He would be the most important player. What is that? Mini Minnesota?
Yeah. So Matt gave us a super chat. Thank you, Matt, for doing that. Mini Minnesota? LOL.
Yeah.
I think you've been saying Minnie.
Oh, Minnie.
Like Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, Minnie. Yeah,
Minnesota.
I call him Minnie. Yeah. Minnie?
I think there was some. We're not looking at the chats right now. We'll get back to some of your guys' questions and stuff here in a minute. But
yeah.
I was looking down at my phone. I saw a nice big blue color come up, so I thought I'd scroll down and got to give a shout out and a thank you to Matt.
Very nice. Thanks, Matt. I'll remember. I'll try and remember to call him Minnesota. I'm sure
Minnie.
Call him Minnie.
Thanks, yeah. Matt. Minnie.
Okay. So moving up, Washington. Okay. Again, Washington total rebuild. They were a finalist for the championship last year. Total rebuild, new coach, new staff, new players, everything. Coming into the Big Ten, the big question for those high level Pac teams that came over, how are they going to be physically? Can they run the ball? Can they stand up to the run?
Yeah.
We don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball there, but to me the key is for Washington to limit some of the damage. Is how well can they stop the run? So they have a great defensive tackle, Drew Parodi, I think.
You've got some real wing-dinger names,
yeah,
man.
I know,
I got a few of them, but you take the cake on the names.
Yeah, well, fantastic defensive tackle. Was a great part of that defense last year, and is going to be really important this year. Okay, so moving up, USC, similar thing. Okay, USC, I like their quarterback. Okay, they got all the talent in the world at the skill positions.
Which quarterback?
Who was the guy from the bowl game last year?
No, you like Jaden Mayava.
Well, I like Maava,
Okay.
but I don't think Maava is going to. I like there at USC. I like Maava long term, or
Okay,
if the
all right.
if the starter struggles.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, the quarterback situation is great, but that's not who we're focusing
right,
on.
I'm sorry.
But what does USC need to improve from last year to
Everything.
be better? Yeah, I mean everything would be great, but I really think the physical defense. Is
I was going to
really
say
where
defense.
Defense.
We were crapping on their defense.
Yeah.
Oh, their offense is great and they can score a lot of points, but man, their defense can't stop crap.
Exactly. So what's going to be the key to that? Bear Alexander, fantastic defensive tackle. I think for them to be successful in the Big Ten, he was great in the Pac. He's going to have to step up and be even better in the Big Ten. I think he has the talent to do that. So I'm going with Bear Alexander, defensive tackle. USC is their most important player because really, that's going to be the difference for USC. I think in the Big Ten, the difference between an 8-4 team and a 10 or 11 win team that's competing for a playoff spot is how well can they come in the Big Ten and stop the run. So I've got Bear Alexander there. Any questions before I move on?
No, you're doing great.
All right, so
Alexander's a little easier than some of those other names.
Yes. All right, so Penn State, which everybody knows is my team, Penn State homer. I thought of going with Nick Singleton right away. I think he could be a potential Heisman candidate, really talented running back, but that was too easy, too obvious. And here's the thing, and obviously their quarterback, that'll be dependent on, Drew Aller. That'll determine if they're a top-notch, if they're just a third, fourth best team, or can they compete for a Big Ten title. But I really wanted to focus. I wanted to look at the defense. Where do they have a dynamic athlete that can match up with Ohio State, USC, potentially Oregon if they were to get into a Big Ten championship game? The one guy that really stands out at me is Abdul Carter. He's moving from linebacker up to defensive end. Honestly, he probably should have been a defensive end the whole time. The coaching staff wanted him at defensive end. He wanted to play linebacker, whatever. So now he's finally realized that's his spot. I compare him favorably to a Micah Parsons. Okay. Now, to me, Micah Parsons is one of the ultimate elite athletes who's come through college football in the last decade. Abdul Carter is probably not quite at that level, but I think he's very close. And he's a guy who, when you play Ohio State and you got to stop, Travion Henderson and their amazing athletes, he's a guy that can be that difference maker to get to the quarterback, be a disruptor, chase guys down. He's just his burst, his speed, his athleticism. He's really the one guy that I look at the Penn State defense and I say he can be a problem for Ohio State. So that's why I picked him.
Okay.
So moving up, Oregon. Again, similar story to the other Pac teams that are coming to the Big Ten. I think the biggest key for them is that physicality on the line of scrimmage. Can they stop Big Ten running teams? So I looked at their defensive line. Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle, big stud. He needs to be, Oregon has all the talent in the world. Probably top 3 talent in the country. That's not going to be an issue. They brought in a good, solid quarterback, and they have so much talent in skill positions really all over the field. But again, in order to challenge for a playoff spot, they got to be able to hold up in the Big Ten. So to me, that's going to be a question. Their defensive line, how well can they hold up against that running game? So it's pretty easy for me. Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle.
Okay.
Now, Ohio State. To me, Ohio State is the most talented team in the country.
Yep.
Probably a question. Them and Georgia probably similar on paper. But I really, with the people that they've brought in, I mean, they already kept so much talent, and then they brought in all these transfers. I think they're the most talented team in the country. But why could they not beat Michigan the last 3 years? Why did they not win a national championship? And to me, the big difference between the old Urban Meyer teams, when I say old, it wasn't that long ago,
right,
but the Urban Meyer teams and the Ryan Day Ohio State teams is that physicality. Can you go out? I mean, obviously under Ryan Day, their passing game has continued, and they can light it up. They've got 5-star wide receivers are going to be playing in the NFL. They can zip it all around. But when a game is on the line against a Michigan, against an Oregon, against a Penn State, whoever, or in the playoffs against a Georgia, a Texas, and Alabama, can they finish drives? Can they punch it into the end zone? Can they just get, what Michigan did to them last year was, just basically run over them, and then get the ball with 4 minutes to go and a lead and just take the air out of the ball and take the life out of Ohio State. Right. So that's what Ohio State is going to need to do. They're going to need to go back to that. They already had Travion Henderson, fantastic, talented running back, all-purpose back, can really threaten those defenses, but he wasn't necessarily that guy that was going to pound it and get those 2 or 3 tough yards. They bring in Quinshon Judkins down from Ole Miss. So they go from having one top 5 quarterback or running back in the country. They bring in another top 5 running back in the country. Right. And I think their strategy, and they also, again, we're not using quarterbacks, but their quarterback they brought in, Will Howard, who is more of a running style guy. So I think that is going to be the big difference in their style this year, using Will Howard, using Quinshon Judkins, and really pounding the life out of people. And I think that's going to be the difference. If they want to move on and reach those goals that they want, that's what they're going to have to do. And that's why I think Quinshon Judkins is their most important player this year after the quarterback.
I love it. It's a great list.
Yeah.
You only had, I think, 4 playmaking positions.
Yeah.
A lot of defense. I mean, they're playmakers too, but I'm talking, the running back, the receivers, the guys that get all the praise.
Yeah.
I love that list.
And the thing is,
not like me, I did a lot of playmakers.
well, and the thing is that the Big Ten, especially the really good teams, they got a lot of playmakers, but really I wanted to look at the Big Ten getting through the season. What do you have to do to be successful? And we saw Michigan laid the blueprint last year. What do you have to do? You have to be physical, you have to run the ball, you have to play great defense, and so that's kind of why I focused on those areas.
Well done. Let's get to a couple chats here real quick. Some of our commenters, make sure we answer some questions here. If you have questions, you can stick them in now. If you want to wait, you can wait a little bit. We're going to be around for about an hour. Next, we're going to get to the House and NCAA settlement. Before we get to comments, I want to just tell everyone we had our first opportunity to be a guest or guests on another pod. We just recorded that here before we went live this evening. It's going to be with Saturday's Warrior. I apologize, Saturday's Warrior. We'll be sure to pump that out on X. He said he's going to get it out most likely tomorrow. We talked the ACC lawsuits. So FSU, ACC, Clemson, a little bit about my friend A.G. Moody, but mostly, really about what are these lawsuits getting at? What are they looking at? We summarized in about, 45 minutes, what we have done maybe 50 different episodes on. So if that's of interest to you, I know we have a ton of ACC, specifically FSU and Clemson fans. If you want to see a good conversation, I like to think it was pretty good, summary of kind of where things are at right now with the ACC lawsuits, check out Saturday's Warrior BYU, his YouTube channel. He'll be having it out tomorrow. I'll probably do another plug for him later on in the episode. So, and a plug for us because we were his guests, so we got to be able to do that. All right, so we want to say hello to Matt. Thank you again for that super chat. We have Devo.
Sounds right.
Okay.
Devo Bronk. Bronk.
Just say something and move on, JY. Yeah. He asks, or he doesn't ask, but he says, Rutgers has been crap his entire life, except for the Schiano era.
Right, and so we're in Schiano era part 2.
2.0, that's right. So can we re-experience 1.0 with the sequel? You think, at least given the schedule, you think we can this coming year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's already shown that he can basically has them on the right track to where they were before.
Right. Check it out, ass. I heard the Mountain West can disband easily. Is that true? No, that's not true. They would need 3/4 vote in order to do so. That there would be 9 out of 12 schools that would have to vote yes to disband the conference. I don't consider that easily. And I have said many, many times, there is not 9 votes to do that right now. I do not believe that is at all an option. So I would say no, it's not easy, but yes, it can be done, just like anybody.
Well, and new to this, also, he has a very intelligent question. He's wondering who are the teams that are going to play in the Pac-2 championship game this year.
That's a tough one.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see who will play in the Pac-12 championship. And JEH reminds everybody that Minnie is Mickey's partner.
Yes. True.
So yes, that's always good to know that as well. Just real quick, we're going to read these. I have not heard wording that the Mountain West is going to crack open. That's the first I have heard that at all. Check it out. I'm not saying it's not out there.
He says it's from the guy in Minnesota, which I'm wondering if your buddy
Kevin, help me.
the Flug.
I'm if that's the case, I pass.
Yeah, well, let's keep going.
That's a hard pass if that's the case. What else we got? Okay. So Bronk already answered the question exactly like I had said, and yes, there are exit penalties. But if they disband, if it's only a few of them, if they disband the conference, there's no exit penalties.
Right.
They're done, and nobody has to pay anything.
I think David Jorgensen makes a good point there, which I failed to mention. Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator in Ohio State. And here's the thing: Chip Kelly is always known for like the spread finesse pass offense, but really when you look at his Oregon teams and some other teams, he used the spread formation, but had an awesome power run game, whether it was the quarterback or the running back. And I agree with David. I think Judkins is going to flourish in that offense.
Okay, so check it out, says Greg from Peek Around the Corner.
Yeah.
Just said potentially. Okay, potentially. Anything is potential. Anything has potential. That's what I say to that. We've done a lot on the Mountain West. You can certainly, we just did an episode actually yesterday we dropped. If you're interested in the Mountain West, we talk about directly what the Mountain West commissioner is talking about. Gloria Navarez, absolute fantastic commissioner. And we've had 2 ADs on in the past 2 weeks. You can hear directly from AD Classy, who is the new Fresno State AD, and AD Dickey, who is the Boise State AD. Check out our channel. You can see those 2 things. I'm not going to give that any more thought because I think that is crazy talk. So let's talk about the House versus NCAA. Today, Judge Wilkin denied the Houston Christian University's motion to intervene. We knew they had put in a motion to intervene. She has denied that. And the saying basically the plaintiff is a member of the ACC. They say they're a member of the ACC, and they voluntarily participate in D1 membership of the NCAA. So, or D1 sports in the NCAA. So she's like, yeah, you're a member. You don't have to be. It applies to you.
And judges generally, when they can have a settlement that's between a large group of people that came together, they're going to favor that because it's just so much cleaner, simpler, more orderly to have one big settlement than it is all these different schools to try and fight it out automatically or individually. So I am not surprised at all.
Right now, there's a lot of anticipation this is going to be finalized by Friday. That's what a lot of the rumors coming out. I know Ross Dellinger's put out some information that he's hearing that it will be done on Friday. The roster limits are changing. Right now, it's sounding like that football will go from 85 up to 105. That's kind of what we've been hearing here for a while. And then yesterday, the Big Ten Commissioner, Petiti, as part of their media days, said that this gives schools all kinds of opportunities, which possibly includes additional women's sports scholarships to balance out the Title IX revenue sharing issues, potential issues. So, he's saying a lot of additional opportunities here. I think somebody asked, kind of how does this work? What I have seen is that for those that have this back pay coming to them, in about 60 days, a notice will be going out to all these athletes that are a part of this settlement. There will be a website that they can go to. They type in their name. That site will then tell them how much of the settlement they're going to get. How is it divvied out? I have no idea. I'm not sure anybody except those that are in the settlement talks probably know how that's going to be divvied out. But they did say everybody that is a part, the athletes that are a part of that, will be getting notified. They can go on a website and poof, here's what you get from the settlement. So that's the word on the street.
I want to add something to that. There's so much consternation about the Title IX issues, and you've mentioned Title IX is very important. Everyone is going to be looking at Title IX with this, but I think some people look at it as a boogeyman, like they're scared of it, like it's going to bring down the whole thing. Here's the thing, and the decision makers are already all over this. They're consulting with lawyers and stuff. The big thing with Title IX is you have to provide an equal number of opportunities for female athletes to participate. So if you're adding 30 scholarships for men, to participate in football, you're going to have to add 30 more scholarships to other sports for women.
Right.
Which at the end of the day, especially when we're talking about the big schools with a lot of money,
Yes.
that's not a huge issue. There are a lot of, and it doesn't always have to be the exact same dollar amount, because teams, they fly their football team around on jets and whatever, and their golf team is riding in vans and stuff like that. So it doesn't have to always equal the same dollar amount. It just has to equal the same number of opportunities. So this will probably be great for women's sports, having even more opportunities. Now, one area where it could end up being bad is some of the men's Olympic sports. You and I are both huge wrestling fans. That might be where some schools, if they do have to cut some things, I could see them cutting some of the men's Olympic sports. I hope that's not the case. I hope that, with increased revenue from the TV packages, they'll be able to keep everything. But I just want to caution, yes, Title IX is important, as you've brought up many times, but people don't need to be necessarily scared of it. It's just the decision makers at these schools are going to have to come up with strategic plans to deal with it. And I can assure you, when they're coming up with this number of football scholarships to add, they're doing that understanding that they're going to have to add a roughly equal number of female scholarships and what's involved with that.
Right. Yes, Bill, welcome here. 85 to 105 football players. Yes, it was football players. And they stipulate, we're a football podcast, so that's all I looked at. They stipulate all the other sports too, but I didn't look at that. I only look at the football stuff here. So we have a bunch of new people on. Jared, MK. MK, I know, is, yes, we are repping Beaver Nation. We got our shirts on from JEH. He sent them to us.
Built, not bought.
Got them over the weekend, and we're like, we got to wear them tonight. They're brand new, baby. So
Beaver
we got
Believer.
Beaver Believer, represent the Beavs. And MK, thank you for the comments you put on our videos, too. Really appreciate that. We got Fia here. We got some other newbies, so thank you all for joining. And let's move on. Oh, actually, one other thing. Did you see the comments from the AD, Penn State AD on private equity?
Yes.
Did you see that?
I saw a little bit of his.
Basically, it's like, we sell out stadiums.
Yeah.
We not sell it. We have 94,000 season tickets. We sell out hockey arenas. We sell out wrestling, our wrestling sports. We sell out all of this. He's like, my business is to take care of my kids. Why do I need PE? Is what I got out of it. I mean, did you get anything else out of that?
Yes, and just to add to the context of he's. I think the gist of what I got was, we would rather we have 107,000 fans that come to football games. We would rather leverage those fans and our stadium, our facilities, or whatever. Let's do what we can in that area before we go and sell a piece of that Penn State brand that the fans love, the people love. Let's see what we can do, and that goes into the renovating the stadium, trying to add other revenue opportunities. So I like it. I mean, I do think that there's going to be a time where private equity makes its way into college sports in some way, but for me, I don't trust it. Because there could be unforeseen consequences. So the longer we can kind of hold it off, I think the better. So I'm happy with his comments.
Sure. All right. Well, are we ready to get to the Mountain West most important player that is not a quarterback?
I'm excited.
I did my list in alphabetical order.
Okay.
It's not random. Because when I think, I got to make a list, and I don't know what to do. You know what I do?
Just go in alphabetical.
I go in alphabetical order.
So I will say, you asked me earlier if my list, it didn't really have any rhyme or reason as far as the players I was naming.
Okay.
I just kept the same order when I think it was when I ranked the stadium atmospheres or something. When I ranked something else. So that's why there did seem to be a little order with the top teams being at the top.
Okay, since we're getting to the Mountain West, I do want to check it out, a quick question. I know he and JEH are kind of going back and forth about the Mountain West thing. Check it out if you're still on. You said that was from an article written in The Athletic. I'm assuming you mean the article was regarding the Mountain West. Let me know if that's the case, because I do have The Athletic, and I haven't been on it for a little while. So I'm guessing it's just more garbage that's being thrown around right now. But if it is, being the Mountain West guy, I must do my homework and read the article.
Yeah. So
please let me know if you're referring to the Mountain West's, disbanding or whatever, coming from an Athletic article. But I put zero stock into that. I haven't read the article. I highly, highly doubt it's going to happen. Got too good of a thing going. The premier Western conference.
Yeah.
Why would you disband the premier Western Conference? Mind blown.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Mountain West, most important, starting with Air Force. And we know Air Force, a lot of turnover. They graduated a lot of guys. But man, they always restock. I haven't done my preview stuff. We're going to get to that in August. I've told people, I'm going to struggle with Air Force. But even when they have years of great turnover, they come back with another great team. It's just what they do. It's what Calhoun does. So I'm picking one of the names that is a little difficult, but I did my research. And it's Peyton Zdroik. Okay. He is one of 5 starters returning for the defense. He's a nose guard senior. And he's the only Falcon in the East-West Shrine Bowl 1000. So that just came out this week as well. That Shrine Bowl, I don't know if you looked at that. It ranks basically 1,000 players, give or take, that they think are, draftable players. He was the only Falcon on the list. Ugh. But anyway, he's a senior. I think it's only seniors that they put on that. Or seniors or graduate seniors.
Eligible to go to the Shrine Bowl.
Right, exactly. So in 2023, he played 7 games, 29 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks. Air Force prides themselves on their great defense. I'm not sure what their running back situation is going to be looking like. They usually have a committee anyway. Eldridge, who would have been able to return, transferred out. He probably would have been the guy I picked, but he ain't there anymore. But he's a great nose guard here, senior, and for me, you got to go defense, so that's where I'm at with Air Force. Boise State, the no-brainer, although there's a lot of guys that really, if Ashton Genty wasn't Ashton Genty, Deuce, there's a lot of guys. It would have been hard for me to pick another guy because they have a lot of talent. But, of course, Ashton Genty is still there, running back, junior, national presence. We've been saying Heisman Trophy potential.
Contender.
We talked about him with contender. Yep. We talked about him with A.D. Dickey. He had some great things to say about, he called him Ash. Yeah. So I'm going to call him Ash. I don't know him, but he called him Ash, so let's call him Ash. He's a preseason All-Mountain West player. He was on the first team offense of 2023 All-Mountain West players. Last year, 220 rushes for over 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, had 43 receptions, over 500 receiving yards for another 5 touchdowns. He is ranked in the top 50 of the 2025 NFL draft class, the only G5 player in the top 50 of the 25 draft class. I could talk about him forever and ever and ever, but we're going to move on because I have 10 other schools. And I'm going to give a shout out to JEH. He asked us to put the Beavs and the Cougs in our list.
Yep.
And they're in my list. All right. We're not there yet, but they will be in my list. So next one, C, Colorado State. This one was fairly easy for me. He's one of the top talents in the Mountain West. Torrey Horton, wide receiver, graduate student there. Again, last year, first team All-American All Mountain West team. He's on the preseason Mountain West team again. Last season, 96 receptions, over 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. He also had a passing touchdown last year and a return touchdown last year. So this guy's scoring points all over the place.
All he does is score touchdowns.
That's what he does. He's a scoring machine. He was second in the Mountain West in receiving yards per game last year and first in receptions per game last year. I have him ranked as the number 2 wide receiver in the entire conference. So it was a pretty easy pick for me for Torrey Horton out of Colorado State. And I will have the number 1 wide receiver later on in my list.
Before we move on to the next school,
Okie dokie.
I want to point out something exciting.
Okay, point it out.
MK states in his comment he's got to step up his game and send us some shirts.
Oh,
so I don't know who. Do you know what MK? Who is he a fan of?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess we'll see. So we'll get some mystery shirts.
He's I don't know if he's a Pack or Mountain West guy, but I know I'm pretty sure he enjoys our Mountain West stuff and our Pack stuff.
I'm excited.
So anyway, yes, but okay, we're down. Mm-hmm. Okay, Fresno State. This might upset some people. Any Bulldog fans, they might think I missed the boat here, but I'm not a huge Sherrod fan. He's not a bad talent. He's good. He's solid. But I didn't go with him. Yes, he was on the first team preseason All Mountain West, blah, blah, blah. I didn't go with him. I went with Jalen Moss. Jalen Moss, sophomore wide receiver, almost had the same amount of numbers, almost equal numbers to Eric Brooks, who the Bulldog fans know. He was fantastic. I love Eric Brooks. And I was actually surprised when I was doing this. I was looking at last year's stat. Not that last year means for this year. I was surprised how close Jalen Moss's numbers were to Eric Brooks. He had 55 receptions, 700 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Mikey has a lot of trust in him. That was as a freshman, for crying out loud, right? That was a freshman that had those numbers. He's a sophomore. He has a year under his belt. He is the first freshman to have multiple 100-yard games there since Davante Adams. Not a bad guy to be, named with there in Fresno State. So I had to put Jalen Moss, younger kid, but definitely has huge upsides.
Real quick before your next team,
okay.
Just kind of keeping us updated.
Keep us updated.
Connor Johnson, he didn't want to comment on a Mountain West live stream, but I think he saw us wearing our Beavs shirts, and he broke his own rule, and he says, "Go Beavs."
Yes. Well, good to have you here, Connor.
Yeah.
I know Connor's another guy. He comments on some of ours. We love your guys' comments. Dope shirts. We agree, and we have to give another thank you to JEH, who's on right now. He is the one that chose these, sent these, and the reason we have them on.
Yeah.
It's our both of our first Beavs shirts, and we couldn't be happier to have them on.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm going to say that another 5 times.
Okay.
Hawaii. And I got, this one's tough. Hawaii, McBride, but he's making headlines here the last 2 days for all the wrong reasons.
Uh-oh.
All the wrong reasons, Steve. Senior wide receiver, all right? 23 second team All Mountain West last year, 63 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. We know Hawaii has a decent offense. They have a great quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the Mountain West. And he's a really good wide receiver. But making the daggone news for the wrong reasons, was arrested and is suspended indefinitely by the team. I saw today that it was reclassified, the issue. It was a family, what do you call that? Domestic issue.
Yeah.
It was reclassified from a felony abuse to 2 counts of petty misdemeanor.
Okay.
Doesn't sound good. And as of today, he's still suspended from the team. So I don't know where that's going to go. For this list, I have to have him there because he is a great talent. But man, again, this is right, a week or 2 before you start freaking camp. So what is he doing? Hitting people.
I've been watching football a long time, pretty much my whole life. And one thing I know that football players are known for is making great decisions in the offseason.
Are you saying that in jest? Okay. Now, a couple teams here we got next with the ends that I struggled with a bit. The first one, Nevada, just a team like we talked about, just a little bit in turmoil, unfortunately. But I'm going defense. I'm going linebacker, a junior, and I'm going Drew Watts, a 23 All Mountain West honorable mention player. He led the team last year in tackles for loss with 4.5, and he was 3rd last year on the team with overall tackles with 60. Struggle a little bit to pull somebody, but he has good numbers. He's coming back, a solid linebacker there in Nevada. And so that is who I'm picking on the list. The next one, New Mexico. Lots of transfers to pick from. And I was kind of torn between 2 running backs, Henry or Sanders. I'm going to go with the running back from Iowa State, Eli Sanders. He's a junior, had decent numbers at Iowa State. Yep. He's moving to New Mexico. We know Bronco Mendenhall is going to want to run the ball. He actually has a good committee of running backs. That's why I was like, I don't know who I'm going to go with. But I'm going to go with the guy with the, you could say, better pedigree, if you will, coming from Iowa State. I think Sanders could have a really good season there. I think Henry will too, but I see Sanders as being that RB1, Henry probably being that RB2. So I got Eli Sanders here for New Mexico.
I see a lot of rushing attempts in both guys' future this year.
For sure. All right, Oregon State, JEH, and who else? Connor. Everybody wants to know, who am I going to pick for the Beavs? And JEH did name a guy. He's probably anxiously awaiting if I'm going to pick this guy, and I am. You've got to pick Joshua Gray on the offensive line. 5th year as a starter, has started 44 games for the Beavers, 3 selections to the All Pac-12, second team. He's going to be one of the leaders. He was last year a leader. He's likely the leader on that offense. Super highly rated offensive lineman. And yes, shout out to JEH. He said, hey, can you do the Beavs and the Cougs? I said, yeah. He's like, you might want to look at Gray. And he's exactly right. That's the kind of guy that you want to have on your offensive line, Joshua Gray. We're being featured.
What is that? What is that?
He's JKing. He's JKing.
Okay.
San Diego State, again, like New Mexico, a lot of new faces here and a lot of talent coming in here with Smith. We'll see how quickly he can get these players to kind of come together. I took Marquise Cooper, and I could have taken several players, but I like Cooper. I think we talked about him, or maybe Steven brought Cooper up on our last episode, but he's from Ball State, huge numbers, has had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, was actually with Lewis at Kent State back in 22, so they have a history together, and they're going to run. As some of our fans know, I got a buddy that texts me he DMs me on X a lot. He's an Aztec fan.
Oh.
Aztec Fast and Marquise Cooper, Aztec Fast system. This dude could be a serious stud running back in the Mountain West.
Love it. Got a quick. I kind of have a comment for Connor Johnson.
Yes.
So I'm not sure if you know this, but yes, we are a Big Ten and Mountain West podcast. However, we adopted both the Beavs and the Cougs after the breakup of the pack. We think both programs got screwed. We love both programs. I am a professed Beaver believer for sure. So we will always talk about the Beavs on this show. It's not just a Mountain West podcast. It's a Big Ten. It's a Mountain West, and it's become a Pac-2 and sometimes Florida State podcast as well.
That's right. And we're planning on picking the Beavs and the Cougs and Florida State this year.
Yes.
So we're a picking podcast. Once the season turns on, these live episodes are going to mostly be our picks. That's what we're going to be doing during the season. We'll probably add some goodies in there too, but it's going to be about picks and predictions. All right, let's get to my last 5. San Jose State, and I got to pick this guy, native of Tonga. He's from Tonga. He went to the Mountain West Media Days. He's got the big hairstyle thing going on. Sohani Tawia. I said it right. I have it written down here, so I say it right. Sohani Tawia. Again, native of Tonga. He was in the second team All Mountain West last year. He's defensive line. I didn't say that. Senior defensive lineman. 5 sacks. He's on the preseason All Mountain West team. He was second on the team in sacks last year with 37 tackles. We know they've lost some of their high-powered offensive players. Nash is the receiver. He was my honorable mention, my number 2, but I had to go with Tawia. Had to. UNLV, the number 1 wide receiver in all of the Mountain West, Ricky White III, senior. He was a 2023 first team All Mountain West. He's in the preseason All Mountain West. 88 receptions, just under 1,500 yards last year, and 8 touchdowns. Our buddy Maeva loved Ricky White.
Yeah.
And they have pulled in some solid quarterbacks. We'll see how well that plays this year. He is a stud wide receiver. Again, my number 1 wide receiver in the Mountain West. Easy pick for me for UNLV. Utah State, another really strong receiver. Kind of came on a little bit of a surprise for me. I liked Vaughn last year. I was really propping up Vaughn there at Utah State. But Jalen Royals just took the win. I mean, Vaughn was great. But wow, Jalen Royals rose above. Another wide receiver here, a senior. Again, 2023 and preseason for this year, All Mountain West teams. 71 receptions last year. Again, over 1,000 yards. 15 touchdowns for this guy. If you want that deep ball threat, You're throwing it to Jalen Royals. He will beat you on the ground. Yes, Connor, over Terry Horton. I like Ricky White, number 1, over Terry Horton. I got Terry Horton 2. I got Jalen Royals as my number 3. But yes, I do like him over Ricky White over Horton. Washington State, man, I'm on a wide receiver kick, so let's just keep right on going with the wide receivers. I've got Kyle Williams, a junior wide receiver for the Cougars. I know Squeeze Money is a Cougar fan. I think he had to drop off. Yeah. I don't know if we have any other Coug fans on right now. But Williams, 61 receptions, 842 yards, 6 touchdowns last season. I look for him to take a step forward this year. Gonna be their probably number 1, not probably, their number 1 receiver. We'll see what can happen there in Washington State. My last one, the Pokes, Wyoming. I was close. Gillenborg, Whaley, Gillenborg, Whaley. I had to go Whaley. I had to. Running back, he's an honorable mention last year for 2023. As long as he can stay healthy, he had some injuries last year, so his numbers were down a little bit than what you would expect from him. 164 carries, 977 yards, 5 touchdowns. I do think Gillenborg is a very special talent. He will likely be on my list next year, assuming everything stays the same. But I had to pick Whaley. I think he's too much of a game changer. If he can hit that hole with speed and he's healthy this year, he's the guy you want on the field. So I got to go with Harrison. He's my Wyoming pick. And I'm done.
I love it.
Any comments?
No, I think it's interesting too. You went with a lot of wide receivers, and you were surprised at my picks. I think that there's an aspect of like style of play, in the Mountain West versus the Big Ten. A lot of people, especially last year, there were certain games. Some of the national commentators said the Big Ten is like watching paint dry back in 1983.
Right.
And you definitely sometimes more of the running style, the physical game. I'm really interested to see how do those new. Everyone is talking about how do the Pac-4 teams adjust to the Big Ten. I'm interested to see if the Big Ten adjusts to those teams.
Sure.
Especially an Oregon team that has all the best players money can buy. The skill position players they're bringing in. I'm wondering how that changes. And I think you see now Wyoming is probably more of a traditional team and obviously Air Force. But a lot of the Mountain West is, spread it open, spread it wide, and throw the ball, which makes for some fun football watching on Saturday nights.
It's great football.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a fan.
There you
It's
go.
great football.
Yeah.
MK agrees with us. Fun football. So the last thing we have here to talk about is just real quick. I called it a pack update. Not so much an update. I just wanted to talk a little bit about what Commissioner Gould said. Just a couple little highlights from her media days and some things that she talked about there. So the first thing I want to corroborate, and I'm glad Connor's on, because Connor asked about the scheduling agreement going into 2025 on our Navarez episode that we did yesterday. And so what Gould had said here just a week or two ago, whatever that was, she stated that she thinks July is a good window for her and Gloria Navarez to make some progress on a 2025 scheduling agreement. That's exactly what Navarez had said, as we reported yesterday as well, that they're expecting there's mutual interest in doing this for 25. And Gloria actually said they think they're going to be able to actually have that agreement done before football season starts. So literally in a month, in 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to most likely, according to these two commissioners, see a 2025 scheduling agreement for the Pac-2 and the Mountain West. That's what we've been saying kind of since they started this whole thing.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. She also talked about her transition as the PAC commissioner. And I found this interesting because everybody wants to focus on this rebuilding of the PAC. Well, what has she done? She became the commissioner, I believe it was in February, if memory serves me correctly. So it's only been it's only been a few months, whenever it actually was. She said, really, there's been 3 phases of her first several months on the job. Phase number 1 really was just business as usual. As she said, getting through spring, getting through the championships for spring sports, business as usual for the PAC. The Pac-12 at that time, right? Phase number 2, then, or another phase, was a lot of talk and a lot of effort put into transitioning and the wind down of the Pac-12, both transitioning staff, transitioning services, and also shutting down services, aka the Pac-12 network.
Yep.
It's not what it was. It's just a production facility now.
Yeah,
It's not
on the air anymore.
It's not on the air. And then phase number 3, the third leg of this stool, continuing then the new normal after July 1. What does the Pac-2 need? And she said it was almost kind of like a startup again, asking what are the services these two schools actually need, and at the time, what are their media partners going to be? Remember, that took a lot longer than we thought it was going to for the Pac. We kind of knew where it was going to end up, but we were waiting for weeks for that thing to be signed on the dotted line. We don't really know why. I'm guessing it was what games are going to go on the big net flagship stations, which they got 2 on. There was a lot of rumors that it was going to be 3. But anyway, as it may.
And they wanted some earlier games. They didn't want them all be on 10 o'clock at night.
Correct.
They wanted
They wanted earlier games, which they got. For the most part, they did get that. So that's been her life at the Pac. Business as usual, transition planning, and then figuring out the media partnership and the services that a 2-member conference are going to need. And then add on to that, maybe phase 4 here in July is figuring out what your 25, at least football schedule is going to be. And we heard from Schultz. I know for those of us that are, listen to us every episode, I know our buddy Lonnie, who can't join us on our live ones, but he always comments on us, and I know he's going to listen to this. So he listens to everything we say. But we've heard from Schultz saying that not only do they want a scheduling agreement here in the next month, they want to know where they're going to be for the next 5-ish years by like January, February. So we're not talking a lot of time. And I think we're going to see a lot of things happening for right or wrong, good or bad. I think the finalization, having the structure for these 2 schools is very important. I've said that before, and I'm going to keep saying it. They can't be out there in limbo. It doesn't help anybody. So that's the small Pac update that I had. I just want to go over a couple of the Commissioner Gould comments from their Pac-2 media days. They did like an open bar. They had the Beaver and the Cougar drinking beers. I don't know if they were literally drinking beers, but it was at a bar.
Yeah.
So anyway, anything you want to add to that?
Again, I continue to have trust. Now, here's the thing: is I'm not a Mountain West guy. I'm not a Pac guy, so I don't have emotional investment in any of this. But I continue to have trust in the decision makers with the Mountain West and the Pac, whether the commissioners and the presidents of those 2 universities. And to me, again, all the decision makers saying the right things, doing the right things to come up with the best plan for those universities. And I think, I really think, like Schultz said, I think by once we get past the college football playoff and we get into the off season, I think we'll see some real movement. And this possible extension of the scheduling agreement it really just makes that so much easier. Just kind of sets the tone for that, takes some of the pressure off, so they can come up with the best agreement, the best situation possible. And I think we'll see that news in the early 2005, January, February, by March.
Couple shout outs. I agree, Connor. The Boise Black Friday game is awesome. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I don't want to look past any of the games prior to that, but that's a fantastic game.
Yes.
That is such a fantastic game. If you saw last week's episode, it was number 1 on my out-of-conference games.
I'm kind of thinking, and I know that's a family time. There's a lot of family stuff going on. Yep. But if we can make it work, maybe we should do a pregame live show or just a pregame show before that game on that Friday night. I think that'd be pretty cool.
He also says, not going to give up till the dust settles. Totally get it. I'm not asking anybody to give up. You guys keep doing your thing. As you guys know, we're calling it as we're reading it and seeing it. That doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just the way we're viewing it. But I totally get, as a Beav and Coug fan, you're holding on for dear life for what you can get out of it.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? A lot of good matchups. Stevens, agree. It's going to be a lot of fun. Gloria and Teresa have a long history. They do, and they've mentioned that in their press conferences about the history, about working together and all that kind of stuff. So good point, MK, as well. With that, we thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate all the comments. We're over that hour mark. That's where we try to keep it to, unless we got some breaking news we want to get to. So next week we are off. We will not have a live episode next week. JY is going to be relaxing somewhere.
You need a vacation, sir.
I don't know. But anyway, so we're off next week, but then we're coming back hot and heavy to start. Well, not start. It is college football season, but to start the previews, start getting into heavy stuff here as we head forward. Next week, we're going to put out our top 25, overall top 25, and we're going to give you what we think our college football playoff are going to look like. Steve will do his, I'll do mine. So look for our top 25 and our college football playoff episodes next week. And yeah, we'll do that while I'm out gallivanting somewhere.
Yeah, so I just want to say one last thing.
Yes.
You know, we've been upgrading the technology of our show. We have better mics now. You know, people complained about the mic. So, you know, but we're almost at 1 year. We're over 2,000 subscribers. We have this great group of people that are dedicated people that come on the live episode. And so I want to say, like you know, just like the Beavs, our show was built, not bought, and it's been a lot of fun this last year.
The fact that we've built it with over 2,000 subscribers in less than a year, we're getting close to our year anniversary. Hard to believe. We've been doing this for almost a year now. We'll do some celebration. We got to give some stickers and stuff away.
Yeah.
I think. The other thing I just got to give, I said I'd prop it up one more time, but again, we had our first guest appearance on another pod. Saturday's Warrior BYU. I'm pretty sure if you just type in Saturday's Warrior BYU, that's his channel. And we talked the ACC lawsuits. Talked for, again, about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, or if you just like to hear us talk, we talk a lot on that episode. So yeah, just gonna give a shout out to him. You'll see us prop that up a little bit too on our channel.
We talked the ACC.
ACC.
We talked a little Big 12.
Big 12.
We talked a little Pac. A little bit.
We
talked
did.
a little Pac.
Historical Pac.
Historical Pac. Yeah, so a little bit of everything.
We talked about reading the crystal ball.
Yeah.
The people have kind of heard our crystal ball. But anyway, yeah, we put all that in that episode. So hey, we thank you guys. I see all the thanks you. Great show. We really appreciate you guys. It's much more fun when we have some chats out there that we can comment with you. And with that, hey, we'll see you guys next time on the Big Mountain.